Second Life. Chapter 13. Commander, the system appears to have 6 true planets and 9 moons. 2 of the moons, both orbiting the second planet, may be habitable. None of the planets. I nodded. We'll go take a look. Fields at full power, passive sensors to maximum range, active sensors off, fighters to alert status 2. My words became actions. The ship's defensive force field shimmered, distorting my view of the system's sun and the stars beyond. A probe extruded through the field to gather every bit of electronic data available. Our active sensors, what we called the pingers, were shut down. They could alert possible enemies to our presence. And far down in the waist of the ship 3 wing-tied pilots slid into the snug cockpits of heavily armed fighters, and keyed up engine and weapons power. 9 more pilots remained at ready station, prepared to go hostile in less than 3 minutes. It was the 79th time we had entered a system and carried out our search for a home. The days and years of excitement were long since past. It was routine now. It was what we did. Hope and disappointment and all the rest of the emotional baggage had slowly drained away, failure after bitter failure. We had learned to expect nothing. We'd learned to discount every encouraging datum and to believe every ill omen. 79 systems in 63 years. And that was only the systems worth investigation. How many other systems had we visited solely for the purpose of mining mineral-rich asteroids, or to accumulate hydrogen? It was what we did. It was who we were now. The Ket, less than 100 wanderers in search of a new home. We had encountered several sentient species. Some spacefaring, most not. Some pitied us. Some attacked us. But we'd learned to defend ourselves in these last 63 years. We began with the Capassan crate, copying its weapons. Then came improvements, innovations. The MCQ-3 had mutated over the years to become the Searcher, and the Searcher was a very different ship. A close examination would still reveal the original crystal formation at the heart of her, but most of what had been added was dull titanium and mineral polymer composites. The original Z-Space engines had long since been replaced, and new, fast sub-Z engines had been added as well. 2 stubby wings gave us an airfoil for penetrating atmosphere. And the weapons arrays beneath each wing, and the even dozen stubby black fighters, earned us the respect of potential foes. "Fields up, Commander," Menno reported. "We'll try the blue one first," I said. I saw Agela smile. I had been the commander since Farsight died, some 50 years ago. But I still resisted referring to every planet or moon by its proper sequential designation. Agela was docked, eyes closed to focus on the sensor readout. Her wings beat slowly, regularly. Pointlessly, too, since no one in more than 6 decades had beat wing for lift. And yet, we were still Ketran. We still wanted to fly. "The blue one it is, Commander," Menno confirmed. Menno was my second in command, the sub-commander. It was a compromise. We had come very close to civil war at one point. Menno and the fugitive polars and some of the dazed, confused refugees we'd saved from a shattered tropical mid-range low had banded together to demand a democratic form of government aboard the Searcher. Of course it was more about resisting equatorial dominance than anything else. Democracy was not possible on a ship in hostile space. But compromise was. The compromise was Menno. He held second dock. And he did his job very well, though he and I would never be friends. It had become very personal. For Menno it was just another game he had to win at all costs. I didn't deceive myself, he was playing that game still. And if he ever took my place he would have no votes, he would command. We slipped into high orbit above the blue moon. "It's water," Agela said. Her tone showed only the slightest trace of disappointment. We had learned that planets with a large amount of water never provided the updrafts, or the atmospheric pressures we needed to sustain our crystal-based civilization. Just that quickly the blue moon became useless to us. It was not a great surprise. I suppressed a disappointed sigh. The people looked to me. I had to set an example. My youth was long since gone and I carried too many responsibilities to be self-indulgent. Navigator, lay an intercept course for the White One, I ordered. Wait. It was Agila. I glanced at her and saw intense focus on her face. I keyed up the sensor displays, Minnow did the same. But whatever she had seen, neither of us spotted it. I memmed her. What is it? She broke out 2 displays and highlighted them for the benefit of Minnow and me. When this still failed to move me, she said impatiently, there's something moving floating. In the water, through the water. Beneath the surface. See the light? There, on the dark side. A light pattern, highly refracted, of course. What's the other display? Minnow asked. Water current. See? The thing, whatever it is moving against the current. And it's putting off light. A large fish with chemically produced light? I suggested. We've seen that before. Probably, Agila agreed. But maybe not. I can't say anything for sure, but I had the impression, nothing more than an impression, that I was seeing a complex structure. Crystalline? Minnow asked, disapproving. I don't know, Agila snapped. Not without using active sensors. Too dangerous. Too much risk for what possible reward? Minnow argued. Are you suggesting we should light up this ship on the off chance that someone, somewhere down there is living some watery mockery of our own long-dead lives? We don't breathe water, Agila. We don't fly in water. This is all just pointless obsession with the past. The last remark was guaranteed to outrage Agila. And it was intended to provoke me. I quickly memmed Agila to stay silent. In my mildest voice I said, this ship's mission remains clearly defined, Minnow. Yes, to wander the galaxy in search of what we now know to be the rarest of all environments, he shot back. We've adapted in a dozen ways, but never in this. We have enclosed fighters, and we've learned to live with that. We've long since dropped even the pretense of flying for lift. But we refuse to accept the obvious, there will never be another Get. No more home crystals. Dozens of planets, and what do we find, again and again? Surface dwellers. Surface dwellers. Nothing but surface dwellers. We are of the skies. Agila erupted. We do not crawl. We do not walk. We are born to a life in the skies. We're dying for that myth. No one has juvies anymore. We're dying out as a race, all for some vision of a world that no longer exists. That last was a shard meant for Agila and me. We were a declared couple, but we'd never sired. It had become an unwritten rule of our strange, cut off, castaway civilization that we would bring no new lives into being till we had a home. That's enough, I said, calling a halt to the dissension before it spread to the other crew. This ship has a mission, Minnow. We'll take a look at this subaqueous phenomenon of Agila's. No, not with active sensors. We'll take Chiclet's new explorer. It's time we tested her. I'll take the search team, of course, Minnow said with just the faint hint of a smirk. He knew I didn't trust him in command of the searcher. He was letting me know that he knew how I felt. Actually, I'll command the search team. It's been some time since I made plan at full. Minnow, you'll assume temporary command here. Agila, you're with me. Mem to Lakofa and Jikla to join us. And Mem 3rd Officer Deve to take sensor station here. Minnow nodded. I had called his bluff. I'd demonstrated that I was sufficiently confident to leave him in charge. At least as long as I brought Deve to the perch as well. Deve was 3rd Officer, a tropical. He was no ally of mine, but he despised Minnow. Minnow wouldn't get away with anything while Deve was around. I hated the atmosphere of suspicion and mistrust, but I'd adapted. It was why command was now centered in this perch where we could all see each other in real space. Any of our functions could have been carried out from dock, through the ship's undernet. But in a world where betrayal was a real possibility, it was reassuring to be able to stay globes to globes. I needed to see Minnow, and I enjoyed seeing Agila. I flew down ship with Agila close beside him. Lakofa met us halfway to the Explorer. You're leaving Menno in charge, Ellimist? Are you crazy? He'll turn this ship around and head back to his little utopia. Lakofa steadfastly refused to either treat me with the deference due to an official wise one, or the obedience due a commander, or for that matter the basic respect due to any fellow Ketran. I valued him all the more. He had grown cranky over the years. Crankier even than when he'd been a lowly third biologist. He was the ship's chief scientist. I have dived watching him. And anyway, the crew is loyal. Lakofa said, don't count too much on loyalty, Ellimist. It's a weak force. He was not being merely facetious. He was serious. Did he know something? I wanted to press him for information, but Lakofa was trusted by every faction. He was trusted precisely because it was known that he would never violate a confidence or become an informer. And yet he was sending me a clear signal. Most likely he was exaggerating. Most likely.